Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Raise.Dev Hacktoberfest Help Desk. My name is Joe, and I'm your host for today, all three of our shows today. For those of you who are new to the Help Desk, this is your resource during Hacktoberfest to get all the help you need to land your pull requests before the end of October. We are coming to you 3 times a day with different guests talking around topics about Hacktoberfest, how to get into open source, how to get into open source in different ways, and answering any questions that you might have. I do apologize. I think my webcam's going to be a little bit choppy. My stream laptop has just hit 96 degrees Celsius. Hopefully that cools down. But until then, things might look a bit weird. But if you are not new to the show, thank you for joining us again. Hello, Luke. Good morning. Hope you're doing okay. Let me run you through what's going to happen today. So in a minute, I'll bring on our guest for the show and we'll get started. But before that, a couple of things to go through. As I said, you can ask questions in chat anytime and we'll answer them as we go. If you want to post a link or anything like that in chat, if you want to share any resources, you are very welcome. But do be warned, we have a very active moderation bot who doesn't take kindly to links. So if you want to post a link at RaiseDevs, mention me so that I can allow you to post a link and we can make sure that you don't get banned by the bot. Other than that, things for you to know. As I said, you can ask questions in chat anytime. You can also ask questions in advance at our help desk at Raise.Dev Hacktoberfest. When you ask a question there, we get it in front of our guests, they review the question, and then they answer it here live on the show, and we send you the recording direct to your email after. So you get your question answered and delivered straight to you. In addition to that, you can see our full schedule for the week. There's only 9 days of shows left, which is wild to say. We've done over 50 hours of these during Hacktoberfest so far, and just 9 left to go. So you can find out all of those shows on our schedule page. That's updated weekly, so it's currently this week, but we've got next week as well. And then the final thing for me before I bring on our guest, if you haven't heard of us before, Raise.Dev is a service to help you level up in your developer career, whether you're trying to get your first job or trying to move into a different role or career change, anything like that. We'll match you with one of our expert coaches who are all really skilled developers in their own fields, who will work with you to get you the experience you need to achieve your goals. So that's everything from me. Let me bring on our guest for the day. Please welcome Erika to the stream. Right as you took a drink of coffee. So sorry.
Yes.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I'm doing okay. I just spilled a cup of coffee, but
We've had a really exciting start to this morning. I've also just remembered that I need to add you as a VIP. So if you post any links, we don't get you banned. There we go. You're now added as VIP in case you wanted to post any links. So for folks who aren't familiar with you, would you like to introduce yourself to the chat?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm Erika Heidi. That's already. I work at DigitalOcean. I produce content. I work creating content for the community and mostly tutorials, but there's also other things that come sometimes. And yes, that's what I do. But my background is in PHP development, software engineering. So I worked a lot of time with that. And then I started doing more of content. Like I really like to create content. So that was how my career started to go in that direction. Since, I think last year. Yes, last year was when I came back to DigitalOcean.
Right.
Because I was off. I took 2 years off when I had my daughter. And then I came back, went through another process, and then I joined as technical writer.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I think it's funny that I think the first time I met you actually was Hackfronts 2013, maybe, when you were there giving a talk about PHP, something related to PHP.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. So we're gonna, to kind of talk about what we're gonna do in the show. We're gonna talk about your career a little bit, about technical writing and all those good things. And I'm also super interested in the aspect of your career. Returning from like taking time off for motherhood is super cool and very relevant to. We try to get into like career changing a lot in the show, so I think that's another really great aspect of that topic that we want to get into. And then we're also later on going to look at a project that you shared with me, which is one of DigitalOcean's open source projects called CreatorLinks, which looks very cool.
Yes.
So we're going to do a little bit of a maintain a show and tell on that as well. Yes, Luke, a Hackfront shout out. Oh, also Luke commented on your 3D printer. What 3D printer is that?
Oh, yeah, it's Prusa MK3S. It's
cool.
It was upgraded, and we've been through a lot together. a lot of troubles, but
Yeah.
it's working again after
It's
some
awesome.
time. That was, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really a nice hobby to have as well.
Yeah.
I have many hobbies. I'm a person.
Yeah, as I've been following your Twitter surfing adventures with great
yes
excitement. Cool. So yeah, I guess to get started, so you mentioned that you got your developer career like as a engineer, but also like doing a lot of content at the start. Like, where did that all start? How did you get into that?
So the story, like, I always like to write and create content and stuff. Had blogs, many blogs and things like that. Who never? But I mean, when it started to get serious, it was in 2015, 2014. I don't know. Yeah, 14. I think I was working as developer advocate for DigitalOcean, and then they made some changes in the whole department and things. So I moved to technical writing. As an experiment, like to see how it would work out. But at that time, I didn't feel very confident, although I loved that. But it was hard for me to write in English because I'm Brazilian speaking. Brazilian is my native language. And I felt like very like, oh, I cannot do that. It's too hard because how am I going to write in English?
Right.
So it took me some time to get more confident that I could do that. And with practice, I was getting better. But at that time, I moved to software engineering inside DO again. And I didn't feel confident at all at my technical writing skills. So that happened. And then 1 year later, I had my daughter and I decided to take some time off. So I left.
Yeah. Cool.
And while I was in maternity leave and all things that it's a lot of things that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot to process. Let's just say put it simply. And I just kind of had this realization that I should be writing because I really love writing and I always loved writing. And then I started to another hobby. It's when I started the 3D printing hobby.
Right. Okay.
So me and my husband, we started to get into that, and I started also blogging about that. And then that passion about writing came back, and I was really like excited to electronics as well, like to get 3D printing electronics. I made a blog and I started to write about that. I made an Instagram, and then it all started to kind of slowly converge into creating contents in general, like because I also like to experiment with other forms of content, video and live streaming, especially because the problem with video is I tried already many times, but I can't let go. I mean, I record once and then I don't like it. I hate to watch myself. So I'm like, I prefer to do live. Because I don't watch later. I just do it and then it's done.
There's definitely like, I've been describing this to a lot of we had a lot of guests who, before they come on the show, like, oh, I've never done like video or public speaking before. I'm really nervous. And I'm like, oh, it's nothing like that at all. It's just, it's so, I guess, casual. It's like, I mean, I don't know about you, Twitch chat, but I get the feeling that people watch Twitch versus YouTube because they don't, like, if you wanted super polished content, you'd go to YouTube, right? Like people come here for the spontaneity, I guess. That's really interesting. So you've been streaming. I saw you streaming a couple of times, but like, when did that? Was that a lot of people have started streaming because of COVID? Was that the case for you? Or is it a longer thing? Okay.
Well, actually, it was. I started a little bit before everything like hit the fan.
Right.
It was. I started doing only. With no voice or camera because I was a bit like I want to experiment and see how it works. I was a bit scared, but I saw other people doing it and I thought it was so cool. And also this thing about doing it live and improvising and not needing to edit videos afterwards. So I think I started. Yeah, I call it dev and chill. I would
Mm.
use music and then just
Nice.
do the code and write
Yeah.
on some explanations on a text.
Cool.
And it started to kind of escalate, and I started doing I'm gonna do a first stream with camera and voice, and then it started to from there. But I really connected with the Brazilian audience.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a bit different.
That must be hard with time zones if like most of your viewers are
Yes,
tuning
it's
from Brazil.
like I usually do in the afternoon. It's early morning for them. I just
Right.
like, let's go. Good morning. Let's do this. Come on, people.
Nice.
Yes.
Erika's morning show.
It's a morning show.
Yeah.
It's weird because for me it's afternoon already, late afternoon, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get when you speak two languages or more, I don't know. I just do it too.
Right.
I mean, you will have some conflicts. Which language I'm gonna do these, or I'm gonna write these, or present these. And I ended up like making peace with myself about getting, because that audience kind of needs more, because there's so much content in English already. So I am trying to do something that is more for Brazilian audience that can help them, and also that I can just talk in Portuguese, because also feels good to talk in your native language.
And I've seen that you mark your streams as like which language you're going to be doing that stream in, right? Like you put the PT before them and that.
Yes, I usually do that. So nobody comes complaining because that happened in the beginning. I didn't know how to use the platform. Or some guys like.
Sorry, speaking of not knowing how to use the platform, that reminds me that the lovely tool we use always resets our category to talk shows and podcasts, and I always need to reset it to science. Anyway, so that's okay. So what kind of so there's a couple of things I want to go into here, so I need to crack up my notepad before I forget things. So I guess on this kind of topic, what kind of things are you doing on the stream? So you said like dev and chill, so I guess are you coding on the streams, or are you also doing technical writing on the streams, which I think would also be
it's more coding.
Awesome.
And that's a good thing. That's the thing also, because I don't do a lot of coding in my daily work anymore. Just sometimes, depending on what I'm writing about. And with the lives, I try to connect to work, of course, because I want to use what I'm doing. So usually I am kind of prototyping or learning about the framework. Like I'm learning about Laravel, and I do streams creating applications in Laravel.
Hence the
yes. It's Laravel in practice in Portuguese.
Nice. Cool.
So that's how I started with the like more scheduled. Also, when I became affiliate, that I had the additional tools and things. It was exciting. Then I got more excited about it. So I started to do very structured like lessons, and then it started to get more informal as it went, because it's hard to formalize this thing. I mean, it helps to write documents and I have done that with the first project I created in Laravel on the stream, but lately it's been more like what I'm working on today, or usually what I'm working on, because otherwise it goes too kind of far from the focus goes too far. So I try to. So I also did the technical writing live, but not like really. I cannot write live. Like it's a bit. I think it's a bit boring to watch. I don't know, because there's a lot of write and delete and fix that. It's coding is a bit like that too, but it's different.
I don't know. So there's a, and I'd love to get in. We'll get into this in a bit, but I think there's like a similar. There's like a similar problem-solving methodology, I think, with writing, where you're like, how do I like translating a piece of like? It's very easy to put some text down on the page, but then like actually making that precise enough to like carry the meaning you want in the right places and to be clear to everyone. I feel that there's a similar problem-solving aspect to that as there is to programming.
Yes, and kind of to connect each part to each other,
Yeah.
to link the parts.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
So when I write the tutorials, usually, so what I did when I was doing live things regarding like related to my work as technical writer, I was just kind of run the command, like I'm experimenting, and I just note in the documents like the commands, that I run to do that, or the code, the pieces of code, and then later, not offline, not live.
Right.
I'm gonna sit down because I need kind of a silent time to actually write something that is good. I think. Yes.
Makes sense. Hey Manok, thanks for joining us. And this is, I guess, another point about, like, you were talking about kind of doing like more formal structured content on streams. I guess this is like the nature of streams of people popping in and out is one of the things that makes that, I imagine, like very difficult to kind of do those more structured, like not workshops, but like step-by-step content. Is you don't know when someone's going to tune in, I guess.
Yes, people ask questions and you stop and have a chat, and that's what makes it special, I think.
Right.
Yes, you could like edit the video if you want to put something polished on YouTube later, maybe. But yes, nowadays I'm more relaxed about it. I just think, let's just do something live and have fun with the people in the chats, interact, and because COVID, right? So
right.
It's one of the few things that I do that I can talk with other developers, other people, like meetups. It's been so long ago.
Cool. So let's jump into, I guess, technical writing. So we've had on this show, we've spoken around a couple of like similar topics during Hacktoberfest. We had Flaudries come on and talk about documentation. I'm super excited that we get to cover it because I think it's a very popular topic for Hacktoberfest contributions. So I guess I'd love to hear a little bit from you about like your process and what your day-to-day at DigitalOcean is like, because DigitalOcean is a company that's very famous for the quality of its like tutorials and documentation.
Thank you.
I've just, that's not really a question, that's kind of wide open, but wherever makes sense to start.
Okay, so was like, how is a typical day, you mean, like something like that?
Let's go with that.
It's it varies a lot. I mean, depending on what I'm working, but usually it's we have a planning. We plan for we have our goals for the year as well, like individually. So I had a set as a goal, like you set the goal yourself. So I set some goals around content, a series, because you can write so small content, but also a series of content. We try to plan for a series because it's something that you can work for longer. Anyways, and I always have things to work on, but sometimes I just am so my head, as I spend so much time on something that I want to have a break, and then I will write about another thing, or I will make an update to a tutorial. So there's always content. There is always things to be written. There's always content to be created. And our team. So I work at the developer education team, and we have the editors and we have the internal writers, because we also have the program, the DO Write for DO program. So you can also contribute, write your tutorials, and earn money, and also donate to a charity. And so there are a team of editors that work with those submissions and those authors. And there is also this team that is the internal authors that we write the content, and also we do a lot of updates. So when there's a new Ubuntu, for instance, any distro actually, but especially Ubuntu, then we have like a sprint to update the most important. I mean, we have to use some metric, and usually it's views, the most visited, the most relevant content, then we all take some time to write the new version. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's just like changing some names and it's the same thing. But sometimes there is a change that like breaks everything, so you have to figure out. Usually it's not that hard to do the updates, but it's like it's good because we can get a lot of tutorials out fast in a shorter period. And it's because one thing that it hates, like it's, I think all people who work on writing content, especially if it's a long content, you have days that you like feeling that dread, that tension, like you don't have the energy to work on that. And it's nice to have a little break to do something different. Yes, and
I
so
definitely sympathize with that. I am well known amongst people who have worked with me for procrastinating on writing, and I feel like most days I get up and like, oh, I've got to write this thing. Oh, it's just getting started is so difficult.
Sometimes, like, I stare at the blank page, or if it's a blank page, I think it's sometimes it's easier to start. Actually, for me, I think it's hard. The harder part is when it's a longer content. It's a long series, and you have to finish, and it's like it's never gonna finish.
Well, it's very validating to hear. I feel a lot
but
less
it's
useless.
Okay. Yes, no, it's I think it's all of us. And what I like there is what I like is that we have this freedom to write about things that we are passionate about, and to also balance with different, more like heavier content with like some shorter content and kind of simpler things. And they also, I really like this is something that we still going to talk about, I think, with the project, but it's we have these regular hackathons, and it's so good to take like this break, and for me, since I really like developing coding, but I don't do that every day. So it's nice for me because I have this I can work on something for a few days, and just it feels good.
yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the things we get a lot of questions about from like early career people, like who are learning to like code, is basically that they don't understand just how many jobs there are out there where you can use developing like coding skills without that being your day job. Like, so in terms of I guess being a developer, like one of the things that we get asked a lot is like, oh, don't you miss coding every day? Or like, how much do you still get to code, that sort of thing? Is that ever a concern for you, or do you feel like you manage to get the balance that leaves you fulfilled?
Yes, nowadays, yes. The first time around when I tried to work in this role, it was difficult for me. So I had to pick up a lot, and it was too overwhelming, I think. So I missed code a lot, and I wanted to go back to coding. This time around, I am so happy, like with what I'm doing. And it's not that I don't miss coding, but it's because I can do that sometimes. And also I have some side projects from time to time. I work a little bit on them to update things, and it already feels great. And the thing is that we can still write about development. So that's also a change, because now, back in the day, in 2015, 2014, we had a kind of a rule on community that we should only write about DevOps and sysadmin stuff. We didn't have the software engineering content, only like how to deploy the application.
Very
like
focused on DigitalOcean's product and how it gets used, I guess.
Yes, even though it was always like abstracted, not like pushy to DigitalOcean. It was kind of very generic, the tutorials. It's still we would write only things that could be kind of directly connected to the products somehow. Yes, so that was a big change when I came back last year. So We now write about code as well, and we have some very nice tutorial series on coding and Python, on Go and Ruby and JavaScript and a lot of things actually. And yes, so I was very excited to go back in this scenario and be able to write about PHP. So I didn't do yet this, but I'm planning to do a PHP series that is more focused on development, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited about it.
Super cool. So one question I had for you from something you said earlier that I want to kind of go back to. So you were talking about, this process of updating your tutorials and documentation. And I think for me, that's always been one of the trickier parts of technical writing, because they by nature have to be living documents because technology changes so often. How do you as a team, I guess, manage the updating process? How do you even keep track of oh, hey, this particular stack or this distro has had an update and we need to go back and update this article? Do you have a process around that, or is it all just being in the room and knowing what needs changing when it happens?
Oh, well. So we have some different things, but this is it's challenging for everyone, and it's very challenging for us too, because we sometimes a tutorial little thing might change, and then the tutorial doesn't work anymore. So there is I think there is a report we have developing different ways to try to track that, because comments don't work well for that. I mean, people leave comments, and you know how comments go. So sometimes they will yell at you and say it's not working, and actually they just didn't follow the whole thing properly. And so it's hard to trust the comments. Of course, if there are different comments saying that something's broken, then you it's at your own, as the author, you might investigate. But there is no kind of pressure to keep track of comments, because comments can be difficult, on the internet. And but we have a report problem. I think I don't know exact name, but there is a button that you can report. And in terms of updating to different distros, we have found we have a process. We have an internal process for these. When there is a new distro, we have but it's kind of more investigative. So there is a person in the team who usually is responsible for checking what is new and doing the initial server setup, tutorial updates, which is kind of the base that we use for all the other tutorials. And then they will figure out if there is something very different. And then we start the updates, and then we will figure out as we go, basically, what is changed. Of course, some things I remember this change was I think it's from Ubuntu 16 to 18 that APT is not APT yet anymore. So it's just APT. So the APT installed, so we had to update everything. But we don't update the older tutorials because they are still there.
If you're on that older version, do you still need APT get?
We work with a new version, so it's a new URL, a new tutorial, everything new. It's just kind of we have a system to have the version to say that this is part of the version group. Initial server setup, for instance, and then you can select the distro. But we have some tools, but most things we figure out as we go. So we have a strong process to edit and to verify the tutorials. So we always check everything, do a text check, and then another writer will edit and review, and also text check. So we make sure that everything is working.
Cool. Awesome. So I'm conscious of time, so let's move on to the project. But before we do that, we've got one question, which I think is a very good one, from Ratsakogel. Sorry, well, I'm going to mispronounce your Twitch username forever. Ratskogel asks, how do you measure success in technical writing? We spoke about this a little bit, but in particular, the next question is really interesting, which is, I can imagine that introductory content is easier to produce than something highly technical, yet you'd get bigger numbers since the target audience is bigger. So that's a really interesting question to me in terms of like, if you go just by like viewership, obviously the intro content's always going to get higher viewership, but pushing your advanced users along in their use cases is really valuable, but there's a smaller pool. So how do you deal with that difference?
Yes, so this is a problem. Also, like it's not a problem, but it's something that we have to take into consideration. And what we do is we try to balance things in a way that nobody is overwhelmed, because as a writer, also you have to. We try to balance the deep of the content, like the kind of content is too difficult or easy content is easier to write to, see if it's simpler and easier, of course. And then we balance to just don't kind of burn out ourselves, and also to get a good balance of metrics, because it's complicated. We don't have there are not many ways that you can measure other than views and things like users who registered through your article, things like that. There are like analytics and all related to clicks and access. So it's complicated because we know that the effort we put into something complex, it's a lot bigger. So we can spend a whole month writing a single tutorial, and it doesn't get the same results as something that is an update, and it goes fast. You write in 1 week and have it published. But we need both kinds. So we need both kinds of content, and so we need to figure out a way to balance. This is like everyone has freedom to do that in the team. So we just do what we feel more likely to, like that will be a good balance. So I have tried different types and formats. Also, we have kind of cheat sheets. We have different types of content, and some types are also a bit easier to write. I think a cheat sheet format is easier than a complex tutorial with steps, because we have to explain everything in great detail in the procedural tutorials. And with the cheat sheets, it's more like sections that you can, how to do that, and small sections that don't depend on each other. So these are good to write. I think it's nice to write them. I like to write cheat sheets, but I also need to have the procedural, like explaining how to do something specific and have an objective. And I mean, there is no easy answer. We try to track different numbers, and one measure that is not only at TO but in other places that is used is the UVEX. It's like user views accept customers. I think that's the meaning. So it's something that
user views
accepting or excluding, I don't know, customers. So it's I'm not good at marketing terms, but
no, I've never heard of that.
This is kind of just like views from people who are not customers yet. So that is an important audience that you want to reach, of course, and that is another measure. But I think primarily is views. There is no way to avoid that.
Right. Last question we'll squeeze in before we go over to the project. Do you have any suggestions on maintaining internal documentation in orgs?
Okay. Maintaining internal documentation. And so this is, it's tricky because I've heard like people say, like Confluence is where docs go to die and things like that. because nobody goes to
Yeah.
Confluence to check the documentation.
I also say that about Google Drive because the search is so terrible. I think that goes for any number of platforms.
Yes. We use Google Drive largely,
Yeah.
but not searching.
Right.
So in our we use Jira for the tickets, then what we are working on, and then we link to the drafts on Google Docs, and that works. But searching Google Drive is really like not. It's terrible. Coming back, what was the question? I forgot.
Do you have any tips for writing internal documentation? So far, the tips are don't use Confluence, which is great.
So what we usually have, we have Confluence, and the most important things are there. So if when we need to really know something, I just go to Confluence, search there. But it depends. It really depends, I think. Sometimes an internal website might be better, an internal documentation website, might be a better solution, static website or something. Depends. It really depends. For us, we use a lot of docs, Google Docs, to just link in the Slack channel on the topic. It's already, it's something that is easy to find, and then we go there, and then there are more links. Most of our stuff is on Google Drive, so we work with links.
Cool. Nice. Awesome. Right. So there we go. Hope that answers your question, that KCA. Should we move into looking at your project? I'm very excited.
Yes, we could do that.
Sure. So yeah, I guess let's stand up the screen share and then talk about what the project is, because I hadn't heard of Linktree before, so I'm very intrigued.
All right. What this project is I'm going to share my screen.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Just a moment. Great. Tab, and maybe I can share the whole Chrome tab.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. So let me know.
Okay. All right. Cool. I think it's all right.
Perfect.
So this is the project. So we, as I mentioned before, we have regular hackathons internally, and we call it Shaka Hack. And so last week was the last one, and it was a special edition for Hacktoberfest. So it was a whole week. Usually it's just 2 days, but it was a whole week. And I wanted to create something that was that has a small scope, and other people could contribute. I didn't get a lot of contributors though. Everyone was busy with their own projects. But it's I think it's a good project for anyone who wants to contribute, and it knows a little bit of PHP or HTML, because there is some front-end issues that you could work on, as you say. But anyways. So this is a Laravel project, and the cool thing about it is that it uses Laravel Jetstream. So this is the live version of this project, and it's a simple link landing page. So you can create lists of links, and it's something that we see usually on Instagram a lot. So people have, especially brands, they will have new content and they want to share a link to know more about it, and then they say link in bio, but there's only one space for one link. So you have to keep changing, or, there is this application called Linktree, this website, this system service, and you can create an account there. And it's a popular one that I see a lot of people using. So I thought maybe let's create an open source and self-hosted version of that, because it's useful for people. I think if you are doing videos as well, and you can just share one single link easily, and then you can share something like that.
Yeah, this is super cool.
So the cool thing is that it uses Laravel Jetstream, as I probably mentioned before. So there's a dashboard. This is all from Jetstream, so I didn't have to write any code for the registration process. That is the best thing.
Sorry, we've had a couple of Laravel apps on the show so far, but I haven't heard of Jetstream before. So what is Jetstream?
Jetstream is a kind of an extension. Is a package, but it depends on other packages for Laravel that installs a dashboard and also has user registration.
Nice. Okay.
It
Cool.
has built-in two-factor authentication you can set up, and also email confirmation. I didn't set up these things yet, but they're all here. So if you go, this is all. I didn't write any of these. This comes with Jetstream. So
wow, nice.
even profile photo, and then there's all these things. You can control the sessions, log out from other browsers. These are all things that I would never implement myself because I would be like, oh my gosh, no. Yeah. It's going to take so long. I mean, for side projects, it's hard for you to, or a hackathon project, you don't want to spend so much time on these kinds of things, right? You want to focus on the features of your application. So the one thing I had to implement was the links part. Awesome. So I used all the scaffolding, the dashboard views, everything. And this is the part where it was a bit difficult to figure out because the documentation has a little gap. And how you get from the basic to create your own section inside the dashboard. So I figured that out.
Nice.
And I wrote something. I wrote a tutorial on how to do that. You can check it out later on .to. So I created
just technical writer things, updating the docs of the projects you're using as you go along.
No, I already talked to Taylor about doing some contribution to the documentation. I couldn't help myself, but awesome. I still figuring things out. And when I am more, I'm get more familiar with it, and I will try to contribute. But this has some good content that you can follow.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Very cool.
Yes,
okay,
so
nice. That's good to know about Jetstream. I'm learning a lot about Laravel in this this series. I'm getting increasingly feeling like I should jump into it.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cool. So a lot of this application is built on Jetstream. So, and you're looking for contributions. So what kind of areas, I guess how,
so let's talk about the project. Okay. So I have some issues here as kind of starting point, but you could also propose something. And usually I'm not very good in designing things. I do the basic, but we could have a logo. We can have a better front end view. I think it's mostly HTML and CSS. So it uses Jetstream uses Livewire and what's the name? Tailwind CSS. So if you also are familiar with that, facilitate things, but it's not too complicated. So
cool, awesome. Sudip asked, "Have you come across backend issues?" And I'm not sure if you mean just issues with backend code. Oh, as in has Erika come across any issues with in the back end of this app? Is that what you're asking, Sudip? We might need clarification on that one. I'll wait till he replies.
Okay. Let me check the chats too. It's okay. I'm gonna stop. It's too confusing for
Welcome to StreamYard. Yeah. So Sudip was asking whether you had any issues for people to contribute to in the back end of the app as well.
Oh, in the back end. Yeah. Okay. I had, but I fixed it. As soon as nice. I deployed it, I figured that I didn't. I was showing all links to everyone who registered. Sure. So I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was Friday night. It was on Friday, unfortunately, and it's worse. I always say, never deploy on Friday, but it was the last day of the hackathon. I had to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but Hackwell ends on Friday. You have to do it, right?
Yes. Cool. But I might not have there some issues, but I will create some. I'm sure I have issues on the back end that I can share. Right now, there is a little thing that I figured out in the tutorial. When I was writing the tutorial, I figured out how to do that. Yeah. And you have to apply to this application, which is to refresh as soon as you add a new link. then it should refresh the table on the bottom automatically. Okay. So I figured how to do that with Livewire. So I didn't write any JavaScript. That's the best thing. Nice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a goal to aspire to, not writing JavaScript.
Yeah, so you're gonna love JetStream, Laravel, Livewire, all these things together. So I really like Livewire because you can really, you don't need to write JavaScript and you can still create these actions, kind of Ajax. I'm from the time of Ajax.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Sunit. I don't mean to be mean to JavaScript. It's just my...
it's just what everyone is kind of used to and feels comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable writing JavaScript.
Yeah.
So I really liked that I can do all these things, just writing like Blade templates and PHP code, and then it just works.
Yeah. No, my personal struggle with JavaScript has nothing to do with it. It's just... it takes a lot to keep up to date with the latest state of the art, and I just do not have time. And that's my only bug. If you've got time, that's great. So Livewire looks super cool. I've just posted that in. That is a really interesting approach to that problem. I'm very into like this category of technology that's trying to give us the same like reactivity as like Vue and React, but without keeping up to date with the treadmill of those things. There was another question I was going to ask you. What it was? Oh yeah. So in terms of so you said this is like a self-deployed alternative to Linktree. If I wanted to go and like run this tomorrow, how would I go about doing that? I'm guessing it looks like Docker. Should be pretty easy.
Okay, so if you want the Docker that is included, it's for the development environment. I didn't try to run it yet on Kubernetes. No, I don't think it's Kubernetes. I think you will be fine with just a lamp or a small thing because it's not heavy at all. It's so database. What I did, I was trying to use the app platform, but I still have to figure some things out. This DigitalOcean app platform you can
which
deploy,
if you haven't seen is brand new. Let me get the link for that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so and it's I didn't manage to. I kind of got almost there, but the time was ticking, and I had to deploy. So I did just a lamp because it's so easy for me. Because I from the command line I can create the droplet and then I just run Ansible scripts that I have already for Laravel, and it was easier that way.
Sure.
But so it's a normal like Laravel deployment. It does have. I didn't actually install npm on production. I think it worked because I sent everything on an rsync, and that's probably why it worked. But it probably should do differently. I don't know. I still have to update the docs. Actually, this is a good issue. If anyone wants to contribute with documentation, we could use an update to the README. This project is brand new, so it was just like last week. I worked on it last week, so it was 1 week worth of coding, and so to run it on development, there is some instructions, but it could also use some instructions to deploy and things like that. Yes.
That's awesome. Cool. So how often do these hackathons happen at DigitalOcean?
How often what? Sorry?
How often does DigitalOcean hold those hackathons?
It's each quarter, so it's 4 per year. Yes, we have prizes. I got second place on the open source category, so I think it was good.
Very cool. Cool. Well, there you go. So we've got plenty of ways to contribute to this project. We spoke about technical writing earlier, and there is indeed some docs contributions to make, as well as the open front-end issues. You said it's in Tailwind. We've had Tailwind pop up a couple of times on the show.
Tailwind.
Yeah. Yes, how did you find working with Tailwind?
I liked it. I think it's a bit different from what we are used with other kind of frameworks that have more. I don't know how to explain. You have to use more classes, I think, like these and these and these and these and these, like size and padding. Everything is a little class, but it's nice because it's more intuitive once you get to know how how they are named, it's intuitive to I want this
Throw all those classes
little
together.
padding here. I don't need to create a class on my CSS, or I don't need to use a style tag. There's already something, so I can just
Yeah.
It's nice.
Luke described it in chat as Tailwind is build your own components, which I guess makes sense from all the chunks. Awesome, cool. Well, yeah, that's our project for the day. Thank you very much for showing us around that. So I guess we're kind of at the end of our time. Is there if people have any further questions, where can they find you? I already put up your Twitch earlier. Twitch.tv Erika Heidi.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think Twitter is the easiest because you can just add me your question. And
that's also just Erika Heidi, right?
Yes.
Perfect. There you go. Awesome. Cool.
Yes. So from this week of working on this project, the most exciting thing actually for me was Livewire. If I had to choose, like, to pick one thing that I learned about that I didn't know anything about Livewire, anything about Tailwind as well. Like, I learned everything last week. I don't know much yet, but I really got excited about Livewire, and I think it's nice if you didn't use it before. So
honestly, just this one paragraph at the start of their website is making me super excited. I haven't written, so I got into dev via PHP, and I haven't written PHP for probably like 10 years. But this this one paragraph, which is tools like Vue and React are extremely powerful, but the complexity they add to a full stack developer's workflow is insane. It doesn't have to be this way. It's like that's making me want to immediately use this project.
Exactly.
I really
that's
feel
what.
That. We were talking with we had Anand from HashiCorp on, and he's also a PHP dev, and we were reminiscing about like the old days where like you would just throw like a HTML and PHP script up on like some cPanel host and it would work, and you just do inline PHP and that was okay, and like how easy that was and how much we missed that.
Yes. That's been a while ago. I remember the cPanel times. Yes.
Yeah, good times. And no problem, Sudip. Sudip said thanks for the stream, Erika. Awesome. Well, we'll say goodbye now and do my outro. Thank you so much for joining us today, Erika, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And again, when are you next streaming?
Next Monday. Cool. It's Portuguese, but yes, if you understand Portuguese,
or you want to learn Portuguese on the go,
or if you want to learn,
yes, you can find Erika at Twitch.tv Erika Heidi. So I will put you backstage and do the outro. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye, folks. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you again, Erika. That was awesome. So we got to talk about technical writing, what it's like to be a technical writer, and dive into a super cool project. The Linktree family of things, of concepts, is a really interesting application thing to me, and I might just be saying that because I spend most of this stream telling you links to go and look at. So now I feel like I need to just put all of our links behind a DO community creators link. Cool. So that was our first show of the day, and again, thank you, Erika. We have 2 more shows for the day. Some of you may have seen me tagging someone in the chat earlier. Our next show is with Jason Etko. Jason is an engineer at GitHub and does all kinds of cool things around and about. What are we talking about with Jason? I've already forgotten. Sorry, I have to... My head is just emptied this month. So Jason's our next show. That's going to be in about 2.5 hours. And we are going to be talking about Jason's developer journey. I first met Jason when he was an intern at GitHub, but now he works there full time and has made one of my favorite projects. But we're going to be doing Git Blame, which is our game where we look at a guest's old code and we talk about what they would do differently now that they've learned some things. So we're going to be looking at a Node.js CMS that Jason tried to build once and has long since abandoned, which is going to be really exciting because Jason is one of the most prolific JavaScript developers I've ever met. So it'd be interesting to see how he'd approach that project differently today. So that's going to be our next show. And then this evening, our last show of the day, we have Sarah Giffels from Microsoft. Sarah is involved in all kinds of awesome education projects. And with Sarah, we are going to be talking about her developer journey. She came through lots of different jobs before landing as a technical program manager at Microsoft. And so that's going to be a really interesting one in terms of like different paths through CS careers and where like you can go the CS career through engineering, through the program management, all those kind of things. So if you're looking for inspiration for your future developer career, that would be a fantastic episode tonight. So that is our schedule for the day. You can find our full schedule for the week at our lovely link. I've completely forgotten how to use a computer. There we go. You can find our full schedule for the week at twitch.tv Raised Dev schedule. We have a full week of shows. We've got 3 shows every day this week. So tomorrow we've got Matt Cowley from DigitalOcean, the community manager of Hacktoberfest. We've got Daniel Fury from Scrappy.js. We've got Hugh Rawlinson. On Thursday, we've got Beth Pan from Microsoft. Oh, yeah, sorry. Thursday is Accidental Microsoft Day. We've got Beth Pan from Microsoft, Adrian Howard from Coriat, and then Jennifer Davis from Microsoft. And then Friday, we've got Josh Dezilak from Orbit, Stefan Young from Custom.io, and Corey Alexander. So a full week of streams. Sudip, can you buy me a coffee? As you can see, I'm already very full of coffee, but that's very kind of you. So that's our schedule for the week. You can find that there. If you want to get notifications when we go live, you can drop us a follow here on Twitch. Just click the love heart. Then to get notifications, you have to press the bell. To get notifications on Twitch, it is a 2-step process: love heart, then bell, and you'll get notifications. You can also follow us on Twitter at Raised Devs. Where's my Raised Devs? There it is. No, it's not. What's going on here? There we go. You can follow us on Twitter at Raised Devs. We tweet an hour before every show, so you will not be able to miss a show if you follow us on Twitter. And you can also go to our lovely website to find out more about Raised Devs. We are here to help you level up in your developer career, whether you are trying to get your first developer job after a bootcamp or self-teaching or career change, or you are trying to get a promotion or move from mid-level to senior, or you're trying to become a better engineering leader. Whatever jump you're trying to make in your developer career, we have an expert coach who will help you get there. You can sign up completely for free now whilst we're in early access. We're bringing on new coaches all the time. We actually had a meeting yesterday where we spoke about the first round of calls with people who have signed up from our coaches, and it's so exciting. If you're one of the folks who have signed up and had a kickoff call with us, thank you so much. All of the coaches have been really excited to meet you. And if you would like to meet one of those coaches, you can sign up today at raise.dev. So that's all from me. I will hopefully see you later. If you don't join us later on, I hope you join us sometime before the end of the week. We've got 9 days of streams left, just 9 days to go, which is wild to say. So I hope to see you sometime before the end of Hacktoberfest. We will continue to be here showing you new projects and new routes through your developer career. But until then, thank you very much for being here and enjoy the rest of your day.